Miners went to Death Valley for one simple reason at first. Minerals were there, lots of them. The borax boom began in 1881 when prospector Aaron Winters confirmed significant borax deposits in Death Valley. Aaron lived in Ash Meadows with his wife Rosie. They offered a night's lodging to a stranger, Henry Spiller, who was prospecting through the desert. Aaron and Rosie's hospitality was well rewarded. The stranger spoke of the growing interest in the mineral borax and showed them samples of cotton ball. One look told Winters he saw the same crystals every day, covering acre upon acre of the floor of Death Valley. This form of borax was white crystalline ulexite called cotton ball, which encrusted the ancient lake bed, Lake Manly. The next morning, as soon as his visitor had left, he rode off to the valley, scooped up a bag full of cotton ball, and rode back to Ash Meadows. The stranger had told him about the test for borax. Pour alcohol and sulfuric acid over the ore and ignite it. If it burns green, it's borax. At sundown, Aaron and Rosie tried the test on the bag full of sample. "She burns green, Rosie," shouted Aaron. "We're rich, by God." And they were. Winters ended up receiving credit for discovering borax in Death Valley. Winters sold the Death Valley acres he had quickly acquired to William T. Coleman, a prominent San Francisco financier, for $20,000. Today, that $20,000 would equal about $635,000. A year later, in 1882, Coleman opened the Harmony Borax Works in Death Valley. He hired Chinese laborers to scrape cotton ball from the ancient lake bed for $1.50 per day. At the same time that Coleman built the Harmony Borax Works, he commissioned his superintendent, J.W.S. Perry, to design wagons and locate a suitable route to Mojave. From Harmony Borax Works, the processed borax was transported 165 miles by 20 mule teams to the railroad. These 20 mule teams became an enduring symbol of Death Valley's early mining era. To reach the railroad head at Mojave, Coleman hitched 20 mule teams to huge borax wagons with a payload in tandem of over 20 tons. The teams usually consisted of 2 wheeler horses and 18 mules, and were handled by 2 men. Each of the 5 rigs pulled 2 large, high-wheeled borax wagons and a water tank wagon, and could average about 15 to 20 miles a day. The round trip usually took a little more than 3 weeks. Borax was in high demand for everyday uses such as laundry soap, glass making, and metallurgy, making it one of the most important industrial minerals of the time. Borax mining drove the construction of early roads and camps and shaped the development of Harmony Borax Works and Furnace Creek Ranch. As the great borax operations declined and the famous 20 mule teams faded into history, prospectors turned their attention to other riches hidden in Death Valley's mountains. The search shifted from the white gold on the valley floor to veins of gold and silver in the surrounding hills, launching a new wave of hard rock mining that would give rise to boomtowns like Rhyolite, Skidoo, and Panamint City. Keane Wonder Mine was a rich gold producer, even though it was not a boomtown. Prospectors chased hard rock gold veins and were willing to endure extreme heat, isolation, and scarce water for a chance at wealth. For many, mining required little more than tools, a claim, and hope, making Death Valley an appealing, if dangerous, place to gamble on striking it rich. Rhyolite was a boomtown that rose rapidly after a major gold discovery in 1904, becoming one of the largest and most ambitious boomtowns near Death Valley. It was complete with banks, a railroad, a school, and other concrete buildings. Rhyolite promised long-term prosperity. However, declining ore quality and rising costs led to its collapse within a decade, leaving Rhyolite a classic Western ghost town. Another boomtown mining camp, Skidoo, was perched high in the Panamint Range at 5,680 feet. Despite its remote location, the town supported hundreds of residents, relying on a remarkable 23-mile pipeline from Telescope Peak to supply the water needed for daily life and mining. Unlike the year-round spring at Darwin Falls, the water here was collected from snowmelt in seasonal springs. When completed, Skidoo became the only desert mill powered by hydroelectric energy, but at a high cost. The 22 to 23-mile pipeline, built for $250,000, which is about $6.5 million today, carried water from springs near Telescope Peak across Harrisburg Flats and through Wood, Nemo, and Wild Rose Canyons. Its steep drop provided the power to run the mill, but the long route, extreme pressure, and freeze-thaw cycles caused frequent leaks and breaks, leaving lasting scars on the landscape, challenges familiar to Death Valley maintenance crews even today. Before the Skidoo water pipeline, townspeople hauled in water from Emigrant Spring, 5 miles away. 10-horse teams pulled it on wagons part of the way. Then Skidovians paid $4 a gallon to fill their buckets and walk it home. No wonder people in mining camps typically only bathed once a week. Active mainly from 1906 to 1917, Skidoo saw early success, but high operating costs, harsh conditions, and falling gold prices quickly brought operations to an end, leaving it a classic boomtown that rose fast and vanished just as quickly. Seven Wonder Mine was one of Death Valley's richest gold producers. It is perched high above the valley near Chloride Cliff. It used gravity-powered tramways and stamp mills to move and process ore. It operated mainly from 1907 into the 1910s. Despite impressive output, the extreme heat, isolation, and high operating costs eventually forced its closure, leaving dramatic ruins that still cling to the mountainside today. Panamint City did produce gold, but it was primarily a silver district, with gold commonly found alongside silver. Limited yet rich ore pockets sparked a brief boom in the 1870s, followed by decline as those deposits were exhausted, with later efforts probing for deeper gold. Panamint City included the Wyoming and Hemlock mines. These were best known for silver. Harsh conditions, difficult access, and dangerous work made Panamint City short-lived. A familiar Death Valley pattern of big hopes, hard rock, and harsh reality. While gold often drew the first rush of prospectors, it was rarely the only metal found. As miners dug deeper and followed complex ore veins, silver and lead emerged as equally important resources in Death Valley. This was particularly true in Panamint City. Talc became an industrial mineral as demand shifted from precious metals to materials needed for everyday manufacturing. Softness, heat resistance, and chemical stability made it ideal for products such as cosmetics, paper, paint, ceramics, and later plastics. By the early 20th century, steady industrial demand, combined with high-quality deposits and improved transportation, turned talc mining in Death Valley into a long-lasting, large-scale industry, replacing boom and bust metal mining with reliable production. Smaller mining operations for salt, gypsum, copper, and tungsten added diversity to Death Valley's mining history, despite limited success. They provided local jobs, pushed exploration into remote areas, and helped establish roads and camps that supported larger ventures. Together, they highlight the experimental nature of desert mining. Many minerals tried, few profitable, and hard lessons learned in a harsh landscape. Borax built Death Valley. Gold and silver created legends and ghost towns. Talc quietly lasted the longest. Mining shaped roads and toll routes, place names, ghost towns, and the transition from extraction to tourism. In a valley carved by heat and light, they chased bright veins through stone and night. For gold and borax hope ran high beneath a hard, unblinking sky. The mines grew loud, the camps burned bright, then faded back to dust and white.